All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have the one and only. We have a phenomenal director, movie producer, and he is also the current director of the one and only The Murder Inc. Docuseries is actually coming out this summer. We got the one and only Michael J. Payton right here, live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm great, man. I'm great. Thank you for having me. Shout out to all of Canada, man. It's an honor to be here.
Hey man, it is definitely an honor to actually have you on the FM dial this evening, man. I've been super excited for this project, man. You know, I gotta say I've been a Murder Inc. Records fan for a long time. I think anybody within the hip hop community, man, has at least one Murder Inc. Records CD in their collection.
Come on, man. You got to. You got to. Have to.
But before we actually get into the docuseries and whatnot, man, I always make sure I do my research when I go into these interviews, man, and I want to kick things off where I actually read that you actually originally started out as a hip-hop artist before you actually got into filmography. I was wondering, can you tell us a bit more about your hip-hop career, and of course, how did it feel to actually get a few tracks actually on the radio out there in the Bay back in the day?
Oh man, you did your research, man. That's phenomenal. Yeah, man. I mean, I started off. That was my introduction to the game. You know, really, it was Murder Inc. And this is no lie. This is Murder Inc. who made me want to become an artist. At about 12 years old, I got the Irv Gotti Presents the Inc. album. I was like, whatever he does, I want to do that. I want to have artists, and I want to make records and have this label. And so I started at 12 years old, just making records on my computer. Before you know it, it got really, really serious, and I started really taking my career in music serious, and I took my time and I studied the business. I studied all the classic hip-hop records, studied all the greatest producers from Irv to Pharrell to Dre, and I was an artist and I was a producer. I did everything. I was, as you said, I'm from the Bay Area, Oakland, California, and we're very independent minded. We're very much a do-it-yourself type of environment, and so I just took everything upon myself. I'm going to write my records, I'm going to produce my records, I'm going to shoot the videos, I'm going to do all that stuff. And then, as time went on, I got really, really good at shooting music videos, and I not only did my own videos, I will also shoot videos for other artists, and I just became more and more interested in the behind the camera film stuff. And before you knew it, it kind of grew into me making these documentaries I would put on YouTube about these labels and artists that I grew up, really admiring. So I did one on early on Jay-Z, and later I did one on Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. And that's kind of how I ended up here. But it's all just been this one incredible journey. It's all hip hop. It's all because of hip hop that I'm here.
And I have to ask as well, man, because when you said you actually started as a hip-hop artist at the age of 12, man, I gotta say that's absolutely phenomenal, man. And also, when I actually read about your hip-hop career, that you actually had some records actually on the radio out there in the Bay of California. At what age did you actually get your music on the radio? And of course, man, how did that process work? Because I do know it's a little bit different out in the States as it is down here in Canada to actually get your music on the radio.
Oh, it's tough, man. It's hard. I mean, so I started making records at 12, 13. I really got serious, and it wasn't until about 10 years later, I was about 22, 23 when I first got my first record on the radio. And it really came from me grinding and working hard. I made a record that did pretty well. I went to school. I went to university at San Francisco State, which is a big college out on the West Coast in California. And they kind of gained some traction there around campus, and then before you knew it, it started kind of making its way to the blogs, and before you know it, the radio got it. We shot a video for it. We got a lot of local video play on some of the channels out up in the Bay, and it was very much a very organic process. It wasn't super contrived. I didn't really have I knew a few people in radio, but it wasn't necessarily because of those connections that I got it on. It was just because people really were, filling the records, and I'm lucky enough to say I had, a few of my records played up in the Bay Area, which is not an easy market to break through in. And it's for any artist out there listening, that there's no feeling. I don't care, we have streaming, we have all the stuff we have now, but there's nothing like turning on the radio and hearing them say your name and hearing your record that you made in your mom's, back room playing on, the airwaves in front of, millions of people. It's just no feeling like that ever. And that's just, that's the most incredible feeling ever, man. And it was super hard to grind to that point. Again, it took me 10 years, but I got there, and I just still to this day extremely grateful for those experiences. And who knows? I think one day I may jump back into the booth someday. But this film thing is working out for me. So.
And I have to ask as well, man. Going away from the hip hop MC, what actually made you decide to transition from being an MC to, of course, a filmographer?
Well, like I said, it was, I was making videos for myself and started doing videos for other people. I always had an interest for film, but, to step back a little bit, not just film, I always just love anything creative, right? Any way that I can express myself and kind of and tell stories. And whether that was through music, whether that was through drawing or ultimately making videos, I just always love to be able to express myself. And I always tell people I'm not necessarily like the greatest. Clearly I wasn't the greatest rapper. Otherwise, I would be Drake or something right now. But I wasn't. I still don't consider myself to be like true. Like, I'm a real Spike Lee or Martin Scorsese. I just love to express and tell stories the best way I can, especially when it comes to hip hop. So again, I started making these documentaries, editing these documentaries together, just taking stories that inspired me. Like I said, whether it was Jay or whether it was Herb or even like Will Smith, I did a documentary on him and put him up on YouTube. And it just really, that's what I love. That's what I love about music. That's what I love about film and video, is that it's any way to express, an idea and a thought. And for me, that core idea and that core thing that I love is hip hop. And I love telling stories that are rooted in hip hop culture and that can inspire people bigger than just making songs, making music. Like, it's how did these labels, how did these artists impact culture in such a way that it's changed our lives. It changed all of our lives. I mean, and look how hip hop has moved from the States to Canada to overseas, and how it's really impacted the world and given people this platform to speak their truth and express who they are and express where they come from. That's what I love about. That's what I love about film. That's what I love about music. That's what I love about art and creativity. And I'm just grateful I get to do it, man.
And when you said as well that you actually did a bio video as well for Will Smith, I have to ask, did he ever actually reach out to you and actually share, his thought on that creative work on that video?
Yeah, it's funny. I think someone from Will's team had tried to get in touch with me, we exchanged information, but nothing ever came out of it. And I don't know what happened. And I'll tell you this: around that same time, there was that trailer going around that somebody had made on the internet about the new show that they have, Bel Air. But before, it was just a trailer. Somebody had took his story and took the Fresh Prince of Bel Air and made it like a dark thing and put it on the internet. And Will had seen that and turned that into now the show that's on the air now. So it was around that same time. So I'm wondering if maybe they were going to reach out to me, but then they got distracted by this much cooler thing, and we took it from there. But it's all right. I think it worked out pretty well for all parties, man.
I gotta say though, whoever actually made that trailer, because I remember actually seeing that floating around Facebook back in the day, man. And I have to say, when I saw that, I legit thought it was real. Whoever did that had such a creative mentality to actually do that.
Yeah, I mean that's the power of the internet. That's the power of creativity, man. That's hip hop right there. You take something, you flip it. That's exactly what I did with this Murder Inc. doc. I mean, this was one of those stories that, to me, I feel like no one was really telling it in a real way. There was a bunch of interviews floating around with Herb and Chris Gotti and Ja Rule were out there trying to tell a little bits and pieces of the story, but no one had ever really told it in a comprehensive way. And I was like, it would be so cool if someone really had took the time to dive in and tell the story from, just a real, true fan of the culture and a fan of this era. And I just took it upon myself, much in the way that the brother did who did the Bel Air trailer. I just kind of took it upon myself and just did it, put it out, not really expecting anything to really come from it. I just wanted people to kind of share that love and that admiration for this moment in hip hop history that I also admired. And I had no idea that it was ever going to turn into this, and if anyone who knows the story on this, I put the Murder Inc. documentary up on YouTube maybe in October of 2018. Then it kind of did okay. It was doing like some good numbers. It was getting views, and then suddenly it just took off. It just before I knew it was like it went from like 10,000 views to like 100 and something thousand views, and it was just like, okay, this is cool. Like people were making good comments on it. It was like a lot of positivity. Anyone who knows the internet knows that the internet is not nice to you, but the comments and all the engagements were just all positive. And I was like, wow, this is like we really doing something here. And then unfortunately in March of 2019, maybe not even 4 months or so later, my mother passed away unexpectedly. And it was just like the worst thing that could ever happen. Anybody out there who knows, like who loves their parents, they know it's just like the worst thing that could ever happen. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what, and I just didn't know. You just lost. And I swear to you, Canada, the day that I buried my mom, I get a bunch of Instagram messages on my phone saying, hey, Irv Gotti is looking for you. Irv Gotti is trying to get in touch with you. And I'm like, what? And I'm like still in grief mode, so I'm not sure if I'm delusional, if I'm seeing something, am I dreaming, what's going on? And I go to Irv Gotti's page, and there's a post on there saying, yo, I just watched this unauthorized documentary on me and Murder Inc., and whoever this guy, Michael Payton, is, you guys, give me his contact. I want to talk to him. I want to put him on, and from there, the internet put me in touch with Irv. We started talking, and he's like, yo, I want you to do my official doc. I want you to be a part of my actual Murder Inc. documentary. We're putting something together, and I would love for you to we got talking, and then eventually came that he wanted me to direct it. And I was like, holy smokes, okay. And that was 3 years ago, and here we are today. So, again, the power of the internet.
And while we're actually on the topic of this, man, I feel like we just got to cover the Murder Inc., man, because after that story, we can't just go away from it and come back, man. So we got to touch base on that right now. But when you actually said that he reached out to you, and of course, the 3-year-long project, man, so I got to say, it's definitely going to be absolutely phenomenal. When he actually reached out to you, was BET already in the picture, or did you guys actually start creating it, and then BET came afterwards?
Yeah, so at the time there was another company attached to it, and that kind of fell through. But we just kept developing it. We just really from there we just started developing it for over 3 years. And there's times when it looked like things weren't going to really happen with it. It was like then we hit a pandemic the following year, and it just looked like we didn't know where things were going to go with it. And eventually, the good folks at BET became interested because Irv also has a great relationship with them with his other shows, Tales, and the other stuff he has going on over there. So I guess he had a conversation with them, and they became very interested. And they, it went from being just a standalone documentary to them, us creating a 5-part docuseries out of it. And I tell you, BET is just the right partner for this because they are the culture. They have so much history, and they were such a big part of that era that, I mean, honestly, I can't think of any better partner than BET. But they became attached maybe a year or so after, and we've been developing it ever since. And here we are now. We're coming up hopefully not hopefully in summer and we will have a official release for it. So it's amazing. It's amazing, man.
And I gotta say, BET is an absolute games changer as well, man. When a lot of people think hip hop, they think BET, you know. So it's definitely a phenomenal channel, and I think a perfect fit
Yeah.
for the Murder Inc. docuseries.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the most. It's the logical partner, man. I think that this docuseries is going to help bring a lot of eyes back to BET in terms of music fans. Because I think BET has gone in a different direction as far as content over the last few years, but this is really going to drive a lot of those hardcore, real hip hop fans back to the network in a real meaningful way. Because I mean, there's just so much history and so much culture there in this Murder Inc. story, and it's all kind of intertwined with BET's rise as a network and a cultural staple as well. So it's just a perfect synergy, and we just really couldn't ask for better partners. We really couldn't.
And also as well, I saw via Instagram that Ja Rule is of course going to be part of the docuseries. You know, it wouldn't be a Murder Inc. doc without the one and only Ja Rule. But I have to ask, man, coming from an individual that, like you said at the beginning of this broadcast, you grew up as a Murder Inc. fan. What was it like just being able to sit in the same room and watch Ja Rule come onto your set?
Oh man, it's incredible, man. Because like I said, it was Murder Inc. It truthfully was Murder Inc. that inspired me. We all loved hip hop growing up, but that was the label that made me say I want to do music serious. I want to create a label. I want to be a label boss. I want to be I want to be in this business. And Ja was my favorite artist growing up. He was my favorite artist growing up. It was like Ja and Jay-Z were like my two favorite. Ja was like one of the first CDs I bought for the kids out there. Remember CDs? That was like the Rule 336 album was one of the first records I ever bought, and so it's just surreal to have Ja on your set and to be like, I'm interviewing Ja Rule, and he's also just the nicest guy, the most down to earth, realest guy. He's just a dope dude he's given his all to this culture, and he's really that guy. Like he's really him. Like it's not anything fake. It's nothing, Hollywood crap. It's like, it's all real. That's really who Rule is. And he's just a good guy, man. And I'm just honored to even be able to say I've had a chance to interview him 2 or 3 times now for this doc. And I mean, what more could you ask for as a fan, man?
And also as well, man, you were actually the founder and CEO of CSuite Music. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about your company, and of course, what originally made you decide to start up this phenomenal brand?
Oh man, thank you for that. CSuite Music is, at the time when I started, again, everyone knows, I was saying earlier, I was an artist at first, and I kind of started transitioning into film and more of wanting to make content, right? So in the spirit of the Rockefeller Records and Bad Boy and kind of like these aspirational, like hip hop has always been, when we are at our best, we're aspirational, right? We're always looking to be something more than what society says we are. So I came up with this idea that, I wanted to kind of transition from just making music to being a curator of the culture, and with, whether it's through film or through content creation or giving other artists a shot. So I created this brand called CSuite Music, and for those that don't know, like the word, the phrase C-suite is kind of corporate slang for chief executive officer or chief operating. Like when you're talking about the top heads of a company, it's like, oh, those guys are in the C-suite, so that's what that means. And then music, right? So it's the idea of putting music, meaning culture, meaning hip hop, meaning like everything that we love, and merging those two things and saying that, listen, we're gonna put music and our culture at the top shelf in society, and we're gonna show the best of our culture. We're not gonna show the the negative side. We're going to show the top and the best. We're going to put our music, our culture in the C-suite, you know. And that's kind of the idea behind the brand. And that's actually the brand under which I created that unauthorized Murder Inc. docuseries, because I was in the process of creating a string of content that was all kind of rooted in culture and in music, but it was also very aspirational and inspirational that could give people a different side, a different perspective, a bit of hope, if you will, of how you can go from nothing and turn it into an empire, turn it into an incredible career, an incredible story. And to me, at its best, that's what hip hop and music and our culture is really all about. So that's really the zeitgeist behind our brand, and it's now a production company and a brand company. We do marketing, we do all kind of different things, but under this same under this purview of culture, and everything that we do is rooted in music and in hip hop, and we're just trying to elevate the culture and take it to a different level.
And also as well, I actually saw via your website that CSuite Music is actually involved with quite a few non-profited organizations. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about your company's partners. And of course, how can us fans become more involved with these nonprofits?
No, that's a great question. So, again, wanting to take our culture and our cultural perspective of hip-hop and elevate it to levels that we've never seen before. So, just a little backstory. We've already killed it in music and in fashion and film. We already done that. One space that we really haven't done it in is in the nonprofit or public service space, right? It's a lot more young people these days that are activated and want to be active and want to get involved with, whether it's politics or whether it's civil service or being active and having their voices heard. So it's like, how can we do that at the highest level? So we partner with, several nonprofits and even some government agencies to try to, help tell stories of people who are underserved, underprivileged, and who need their voices amplified. So we partner, for example, here in California with the state of California and the governor's office here, and we went out and created a docuseries that that went out. We spoke to individuals in various communities about things that government can do to improve their communication with communities. We've done where we have several partnerships upcoming that I can't talk about now, but we have other partnerships with a few other government agencies here in California, where we're just basically using our platform and our skills as storytellers to help tell the stories of these organizations, the people on the ground, from a totally different perspective, and give them a different perspective than what they're used to. And again, everything that we do is with that hip hop raw, real flavor. And so, we're always looking for other opportunities to partner with people, not just here in California, but across the country and around the world. So if there's any organizations or people, nonprofits out there in Canada that would love to have a good idea, some things that we can collaborate on, please feel free to reach out. We always love to, find new partners and find new ways that we can create some real change.
And also as well, aside from the Murder Inc. Docuseries that's coming out this summer, I actually read that you are currently producing another film, actually titled Witness for the Defense. That I read that's probably coming out in 2023. But since the film has not been completed yet, from what you're allowed to speak about, can you tell us a bit more about this project? And of course, what is the estimated release date officially?
Well, yeah, that project is executive produced by Mike Tyson. I'm one of the executive producers as well. It's about, for anyone who's familiar with the Murder Inc. story, Kenneth Supreme McGriff, who is a close friend of Irv Gotti and Murder Inc., who is currently incarcerated, and he strongly feels that he was locked up for the wrong reasons, and that he's truly innocent. And so this whole docuseries is exploring that and giving him an opportunity to truly tell his side of the story, because unfortunately during the process of him going to trial, he wasn't allowed to tell his side of the story, which, here in the States we have, your constitutional rights. Even if you're on trial, you're innocent until proven guilty, and everyone is allowed the right to testify on their own behalf, to tell their side. So whether you're right or wrong, but you have that constitutional right to tell your side of the story. And he was pretty much denied and kind of conspired against him to not tell his side of the story, and as a result, he now is facing somewhat 8 life sentences, and it's really an interesting case of, did the United States government, or not the government, but was it some conspiracy to kind of paint his case to make it look a certain way, so that he's, they pin all this stuff on him. So that's what this whole series is exploring, and we're looking at the various aspects of that, and it's really compelling. Like, it's really, really, really going to be something special to watch. And yeah, we're anticipating it coming out 2023. Again, that's executive produced by Mike Tyson, and it's gonna be interesting, man. It's going to be really, really, really interesting.
And I have to ask, man, because me personally, man, I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan, so I have to admit, this question is definitely just for my own knowledge, man. What is it like actually working alongside one of the greatest boxers of all time, man, as in Mike Tyson?
Oh man, Mike is he's incredible. I haven't had a chance to really speak to him too much, because he's busy. But anything that we need as a team, his team has been very, very helpful and lending their support and lending their his name to this project, and really being involved and really believing in the story and really believing in Supreme. And that's really all you can really ask for. But I mean, they have just been great partners, man. Like anything we need, they're right there, and they make sure we get it, and they're very, very accessible. And Mike is incredible. Mike is one of my favorites as well, man. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. Like, yeah, I've had the honor of meeting Mike some years back for the first time, and he's just the most humblest and sweetest soul, man. And he's a tough guy. Of course, you don't want to get on his wrong side, but he's just an incredible guy, man. And we're lucky to have him be a part of this project.
And also as well, man, aside from the Murder Inc. docuseries and, of course, Witness for the Defense, what is next for yourself, Michael J. Payton? Is there anything we happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you do still wish to talk about or promote? What we still got you here live on the Canadian FM dial this evening?
Yes, sir. No, man, we have some things in the works. I don't want to speak about it now because I don't want to jinx it. But let's just say we have some really groundbreaking, explosive content that's going to be coming to the airwaves even after this Murder Inc. docuseries. I'm actually, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it. I'm going to say it because shout out to Canada. I'm actually working with one of your native daughters, Miss Melissa Ford, who's a Toronto native, on a project right now. I'm not going to talk much more about it, but it's really, 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 really groundbreaking and compelling project, and we're looking forward to hopefully bringing that to you in the very near future. So it's going to be big.
But also, Michael, this is the time in the interview, man, that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you got going on if they're not already doing so.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I want to just say thank you for giving me the opportunity, the platform to come on here and share my story, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to all of Canada, man. It's much respect. Much respect. I love what you guys are doing out there on the hip-hop and the hip-hop culture. You're so different, so unique, and I think you all have changed the game in hip-hop so much with what you've done with Drake and The Weeknd all the other great artists that are coming out of there. It's just like, it's super inspiring to me. So shout out to you all. Shout out to my BET family. Shout out to, Herb Gotti and my Visionary Ideas family. I'm just incredibly grateful for all these opportunities, man. And again, shout out to the fans out there, man. If you want to holler at me, please reach me on Instagram at CSuite Music. If you guys follow the radio station, you see my handle on there at CSuite Music, and you can follow me on Instagram and keep up all the crazy stuff I'm doing. And you can follow me online. You can hit up my website and see what's going on at CSuiteMusic.com. And again, if anyone out there looking to collaborate or looking for opportunities to get out there and do some good work, hey, I'm always open to new ideas. So please hit me up.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Michael, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 97.7 FM airwaves, man. It truthfully was an honor and most definitely a privilege, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to tuning into BET this summer to watch the one and only Murder Inc. docuseries, man. It's definitely going to be phenomenal. I already know it.
Man, my man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're most certainly welcome, man. Definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too, man. Good night to all the fans.